Hello, hello, hello. Benny Carey once more. Um, Back to the issue of possible oil resumption in Ogoni. Ogonis must think smart at this critical moment. This is not the first time. Every year, if I'm not mistaken, Nigeria and its government put pressure on the Ogoni people for oil resumption. In so doing, Ogoni people sometimes ends up being divided instead of forging a common front, demanding for a state which is what Ogoni is due after helping Nigeria to grow, to develop, and particularly helping to create most of the current 36 states. Therefore, unity of purpose is very important. Ogonis have to be able to speak with one voice. I know it's tough. Different people have different things they're looking at. But what we should not do is to look for a shortcut. I have read and overheard people saying, "Oh, people are suffering. People need jobs." That's true. It is unfortunate. But Ogonis have been ignored for 32 years since 1993 when the Ogoni struggle took off, January 4th, 1993, also known as the Ogoni Day. And so, it is a common trend in Nigeria, of course. There is hardship, there is hunger, there is also death. This is as a result of bad governance, decades of bad governance, incompetent government, corruption, theft of the national treasury. And so, Ogonis are not the cause of that. The question becomes, when there was oil, how many Ogonis had oil-related jobs? What did the oil do for the Ogoni people? But pollution, degradation, and finally the government had the audacity to invade Ogoni, to cause crisis in Ogoni, to ransack Ogoni, killed Ogoni people, about 4,000 Ogonis, innocent Ogonis. And this include the Ogoni 4 and the Ogoni 9. Therefore, the Bill of Rights is clear. But before the killings and the invasion and the displacement of citizens from their locations, their villages, before then, there was the Ogoni Bill of Rights, which demand the autonomy option. The autonomy option is simply political autonomy, which is what obtains in Nigeria today. The 36 current states in Nigeria are autonomous states. That is their political autonomy. Ogoni is not ruling or governing any state that is not within the purview of Ogoni. Ogoni is not even governing the state that it finds itself by geographical location and not by treaty. Right? Ogoni has not even been able to become the governor of River State, the state it is currently in, and is said to be the majority in terms of number, population. And so all the 5 states in Igbo land are governed by Igbos. All the 6 states in Yoruba land are governed by Yoruba people. There is no Ogoni man who is the governor of any states in Yoruba land or Igbo land, not to talk of Hausa land, where they have about 11 to 12 states, if not more. Ogoni an Ogoni person is not the governor of any state, because that is their self-determination, right? That is their political autonomy. They decide, they control their political autonomy. They control what happened in that location, that state, politically, economically, and otherwise, even though most of them share our money on a monthly basis. So, if Ogoni is good at creating states for other people, there is no reason Ogoni is not good having its own state. There's no reason. Ogoni cannot be the sacrificial lamb, creating states and developing other places, but itself. That is unjust. That is unfair. That is dehumanizing, very disrespectful. Therefore, Ogonis must think smart during this time. Ogonis must think smart and continue to resist, but peacefully and non-violently, and demand a state which other demands, as stipulated in the Ogoni Bill of Rights, stand upon. All the other demands in the Ogoni Bill of Rights encircles the demand for political autonomy, which is simply a state. Political autonomy is simply a state. It is not ambiguous. It is a state, simply a state for the Ogoni people. Just like there are 36 states, which Ogoni oil mostly help to create and develop. So Ogoni people thinking about oil resumption, think about it for a second. That someone all the way in the north, someone all the way in the west, someone all the way in the east, or anywhere, just sitting in their house, collecting oil money for oil that is in your backyard. And what do you get? Gas flares, oil spills, pollution, degradation, you name it. All right? Ogoni don't have any kind of development that we can point to. Even the University of Environment that is said to have been signed into law is long overdue. Ogoni is worth more than that. And this state that Ogoni people are demanding will help to make that university succeed. The state will also help make IPREP succeed. Unlike what Wike did to Kensarua Polytechnic, where he almost emptied it, moved it to somewhere close to him, somewhere around Port Harcourt, And so we just cannot continue in Rivers State and allow the Ogoni oil to flow to the rest of the country. That is injustice of the highest order. Therefore, Ogonis considering or canvassing the immediate resumption of oil production, without first demanding the creation of a state for Ogoni, which can be done tomorrow, just like they signed the university into law. It's just a matter of amending the Constitution to create this state specifically for Ogoni, or in conjunction with few other states that might be added. But any other state that must be added must be such state that will be able to fend for itself and not depending on Ogoni oil, depending on Ijaw oil, depending on other oil that is in the place. Because it is this dependency on oil that has crippled Nigeria to this day. Because people just sit down, and those in power just sit down and share this oil money and enjoy it, and even leave the ordinary people to suffer like it is currently. So 32 years that the Ogonis have been ignored. This is not the time to go back. This is not the time to rush and say, oh, people are suffering. Yes, I understand that. And it is a pity that that's the situation. But if you're going to make the mistake, if the Ogoni people make the mistake to allow oil production when there is no adequate safeguards in place, there is no state for the Ogonis to help work with the federal government to ensure that what happened the first 35 years and brought us to the struggle that the federal government of Nigeria deliberately destroyed the Ogoni people, we have to make sure that doesn't happen again. We have to make sure that doesn't happen again. There is an Ogoni saying that goes, Lo zuelore na kagare nu, lo one na edap kagare. If the sun, morning sun, is not able to dry your clothes and maybe any other item, then the sunset, the evening sun, will definitely not dry them. So, Nigeria and its handlers, who have poorly handled the country for the past 60 years, have shown the Ogoni people what they are, how they don't value Ogoni, how they don't respect Ogoni. how they feel that the only thing Ogoni is good for is exploitation, pollution, and death, hanging. So, if Ogonis make another mistake, then this injustice that will come, that will befall Ogoni, this pollution, cheating, oppression, and death, destruction, displacement that will befall Ogoni, because Nigeria will not change. It is obvious Nigeria will not change. Okay? So, this coming calamity would be self-imposed. The first phase was superimposed by Nigeria and Share. But this will be imposed by the Ogoni people. If we don't sit down, think smart, continue to resist, demand a state peacefully, non-violently, until it is actualized. As I have said in my other video, this state will cut the conflict in Niger Delta by half, if not more than half. Imagine the volumes of jobs that will be created, right? Imagine how the state will work with the federal government and the whatever prospective oil companies. Imagine the development. It will bring development to the people, to the nook and cranny of Ogoni. This state will be one of a kind because it's not going to be business as usual, like what's happening around the country. No, blood has been spilled. The land has been polluted, desecrated. So, it's not going to be business as usual. Therefore, the government should do the right thing and create this state that will solve a great deal of the problem both in Niger Delta, Ogoni especially, and Nigeria in general. It will put more money into the pockets of the country. Ogoni will benefit. It's going to be a win-win situation. So why not the government accepting a win-win situation? Why does the government feel that cheating Ogoni people is the best thing and right thing to do? It is not. And that's why we've been at odds for 32 years, on top of the first 35 years that Ogoni oil, was taken by the federal government. Once bidden, twice shy. Therefore, Ogonis must wear their thinking hat. We must wear that hat. The Ken Saro-Wiwa's hat. The Chief Bade's hat. The Tonsimene Gokana's hat, who happened to be Chief Edward Kobani. The Orage's hat, the Kpuine's hat, the Kyobe's hat, the Bera's hat, the Paul Levera's hat, the Nodu Ewo's hat, and the Saturday Dobe's hat. All of them, and Ogonis who are living today, Ogonis have to wear this hat and stand tall, because you have shown the world the importance of the environment and how close you are and Africans are, and a great deal of the world is, to the environment. Therefore, we must speak in one voice, because that is the only way out. There's no point cutting corners, looking for cheap deals. No, if Nigeria truly wants the Ogoni oil, they will come do what's right. Because the Ogoni Bill of Rights is clear. It's very obvious. Political autonomy, which will allow the Ogoni people to control their political, economic, and socio-cultural affairs, and will allow the Ogoni people to protect the environment and ecology from further degradation. Adequate representation as of right in all the Nigerian national institutions. Contrary to the lies that have been peddled by the Nigerian government and the media, a people seeking their own country will not demand adequate representation as of right in all the Nigerian national institutions. That will not happen. So why the lie? Why not just be honest and deal with the issue? Accept the reality on the ground. Accept the ethnic composition of the country. And stop imposing the will of just three who are also at odds with each other, struggling for power on the rest of the country. Nigeria has about 250 ethnic groups. All of these groups matter. They all have rights. And no group is more ethnic or more human than another. Therefore, Ogonis must think smart, stand up tall, because you have a good, strong case for justice. The case of the Ogoni people is that of justice, is that of freedom to control, to manage the affairs of the Ogoni people, like other people that I have mentioned before in the current 36 states, and particularly the about 26 out of the 36 states. Ogonis deserve better. Therefore, the Nigerian government should act right and do right by the Ogoni people. And then we can discuss the oil. Ogoni will not drink the oil. We're not going to bait the oil. Right? Mossop has always wanted to negotiate. Okay? But it has always been the Nigerian government and Shell acting like, the slave master and the colonial master. Of course, Nigeria by nature is colonial, but it can still do the right thing if Ogoni is part of Nigeria and is important to the country's economic and developmental well-being. A state for Ogoni as the prerequisite for oil production in the land and a huge gas deposit, not to talk of other minerals that abound. Therefore, do it now. Nigeria, do it now. Tinubu, do it now. The National Assembly, do it now, and you shall be glad you did. Thank you. Ben Ikari.